Beehiiv is the newsletter platform built for growth, and in this video I want to give you a beginner walkthrough on how to use it. So let's get started. Once you're on your landing page, you want to click on the login button in the top right corner. Once you did that, you get redirected to this login page where you want to enter an email address and a password to sign in to your new created account. Because we don't have an account yet, we want to search for this button down here because we don't have an account yet, so we want to create one. Press on this button, create one. So now we can start with our 30-day free trial, and don't worry, Beehiiv will be free even after your 30-day free trial has expired. So I will now fill in all of these fields and then click on the get started button. After that, I will see you again. Once your registration process is completed successfully, you'll probably be prompted with a page looking like this. Welcome, we're going to set you up. First off, what's your current newsletter experience? And since I'm assuming you're a beginner, else I couldn't explain to myself why you're watching a beginner tutorial, I think we are newbies. We're starting a newsletter. Alright, now for our favorite part. Let's create your publication. So now we can give our newsletter a name, a subdomain name, some tags, and also an image. This is pretty interesting because you can pretty much customize everything right here. So you can do this however you want to. Right now, I will fill in these fields with example data just to show you how it probably works in your case. I will just use my normal name for demonstration purposes, but it's also okay to come up with something creative and something you find inspiring or that fits to the topic of your newsletter. So I will go with the newsletter name with my real name, and also with the subdomain name I will choose my real name. I don't have an image yet. And for tags, I don't know, let's go with business. Alright, so now we can click on continue. Alright, so as I've said, we now have a 30-day free trial of the scale plan. But even after these 30 days expire, we of course won't get access to the scale plan anymore. You only get access to that plan if you start paying, of course. Then you will get access, but we will set to a free plan, which is also fine enough. So I will click on start free trial, and as you've seen, there's no credit card required. Okay, so I'm pretty hyped. We don't need this welcome message, so I will exit out. So this is your entire Beehiiv dashboard, and you can see probably a lot of data once you start growing your newsletter. For example, you will see your active subscribers here and your average open rate as well as click-through rate on here with some nice graphs and data once you start getting subscribers that also open your email newsletters and click on stuff in your newsletters. That's the same place where you can see stuff about your audience, engagement, and probably monetization once you start to monetize your newsletter. For example, by referring to other newsletters, which can be pretty attractive. As you can see, here are some great deals. Okay, so this is the dashboard page. I think it is okay if we start with the plan on here. We can either sign out, but since this is a tutorial, we don't want to sign out right now. We can chat if we need help or support. We can get help in the community forum. We can view our own newsletter and our own publication on our own hosted website, which you can see in the bottom left corner right here if you have a look. This is our domain where our newsletter is hosted, and we can go into the settings, and here you see your free trial and your plan running out. This is the scale plan free trial, and after that you can see how many subscribers you have until you hit the next plan, for example. Let's click on settings. So right now we are in our account and profile settings. Here we can pick a profile picture so that people see us as the author of said newsletter. So for example, I myself can, so if for example our newsletter is called, I don't know, the business newsletter, for example, then people can see that I'm, for example, Fabian Frank Werner, am the author of said newsletter. So this is the information you will enter in here. So you can pick a profile picture, your name, a bio, and all of these social handles. Here you can manage your notification settings. I'm a huge fan of getting not notified by any app, software, or stuff that I use. So I'll personally usually will deactivate all of these. But this is up to your personal preference. And here you can reset your password or add two-factor authentication to make your login process and your account more secure. And here in the admin panel, you will find all of the interesting stuff regarding to your newsletter or publication, as Beehiiv calls them. So right here, you have information about your company and your company's address, but you can also leave them blank because, as you can see right here, your company name is not currently displayed anywhere but here, and the same for your address. Then here under publications, you can see your newsletter with the title of your newsletter. And on the team, if you want to scale this entire thing, you'll see here are not many people because I'm the only one in this account, but you could invite more members, of course, for a fee. All right, so let's click on the publication page. Right here, you can see all of the general information regarding your publication. So under the basic info tab, you can pick a logo or a preview image of your newsletter. For example, some nice graphic where people can recognize your brand. For example, you pick your brand color and some text explaining what your newsletter is about. So name of your newsletter, or maybe you even want to design a logo. This could be displayed here. What you can also do to customize your newsletter is add a thumbnail. A thumbnail is the preview image people see on your website, for example. There they can see these images before they click on the individual newsletter articles. You could either add always the same thumbnail image, so for example always your newsletter logo and title, or you could customize them every time. So for example, if you want to have a thumbnail that is newsletter issue 1, issue 2, and maybe the time it takes to read your newsletter, this is the stuff you can customize here. And this is also the same thumbnail image that will be displayed if you share a link to a newsletter page. So for example, if you have a URL from a newsletter publication of yours, let's say the article is called example article, and you share this URL with someone else, this will be the preview image they see above the link. So as I've said and already said, the publication name is Fabian Frank Werner, so simply my name, but you can change it anytime. You can add a one-line description, it's like a biography or a bio on social media, and a reply address. So if people reply to your Beehiiv or email address that Beehiiv assigns to you with your publication, you should enter one here because then they route all of the replies to your personal address, for example, or your business address, whatever. Here you can set another address. Default language time zone should be clear. And a subscribe button text. This is the CTA, the call to action, that people see when they want to enter or join your newsletter. So every newsletter needs an input field, an email input field, where they can sign up. So they need to enter their email address and they have to click on a button to confirm the subscription. And you can optionally use something like a email confirmation that makes it double secure and is necessary in some countries around the world, but we will come to that in a second. But here you can customize the subscribe button text. But the default value, as you can see, is subscribe, so people are prompted to subscribe. But you could also do something like join or subscribe now or subscribe free, something like that. Here you can choose tags to make it clearer with keywords what your publication is about. So for example, maybe business and finance could be a nice fit or whatever. There are lots and lots where you will probably find something that is interesting and that you will write about. So here we have two great settings. First of which is the private publication, and it explains it really well. So your site and publication are only accessible to logged in subscribers on your list. Anyone else who visits your site will see all posts as gated, meaning you can turn on this setting, and by doing that, your entire website will be locked for people that are not yet subscribed to your newsletter. They will be prompted with signups, and once they are logged in or sign up, which is the same thing for a newsletter, they will be then able to read all of your publications and all of your issues. Okay, so require subscriber approval is a setting where you can manually approve or deny a new subscriber, which I don't recommend, because if your newsletter scales, you have a lot to do every day by manually approving or denying thousands of subscribers probably every month. So just leave it at the default value. And you can put on private branding here. So that is, I think, only available on paid plans, but you can customize your newsletter even further with a custom landing page, for example. But for beginners and starters, this is definitely not necessary, because what comes out of the box is definitely enough to get started and to even scale beyond a couple of hundred or even 1,000 subscribers. Okay, so the sender name is where people see what name the newsletter comes from. Ideally, you want to use the same name as a sender, which is the name of your newsletter. So not the author name, definitely not. There is no value in people recognizing your brand. You want to use the original newsletter name. So you can just leave this blank. And here the sender name is possibly the author, so you can toggle to enable that. Okay, then the copyright text, you can leave it as is, because this will fill in with the title of your newsletter. So this is a done thing. This is pretty interesting. Here you can set up a welcome email. So enable or disable a welcome email that is sent to new subscribers. So once a subscriber is signed up to your newsletter, you can toggle on or off if you want to send a welcome email to them. So for example, you are now subscribed to my newsletter, and maybe 1 minute after you've subscribed, you get a first email telling you something like, welcome, and maybe something like, good to have you on board, or something like that. And then here maybe some content where you prompt someone to maybe, I don't know, read your most popular articles, or leave you a review on the sign-up process, or maybe you put in here a questionnaire where people can answer questions why they sign up for your newsletter or what they expect from your newsletter, so you can get better at communicating to them what you should write about. So this is great. And as always, you have a preview button right here, but we will cover this type of content later when we write the first newsletter ourselves. So this will be under the right tab, but this works just the same. So I will go back. We can either save or click on the breadcrumbs up there to get back. So let's get back to publication settings and scroll down to the welcome email. So this is the setting right here. And double opt-in is the one where you can optionally set if it is required. So people get an email where they get prompted to click a button, and then they are newsletter subscribers before they are not subscribed to your newsletter. Okay, here you can set a optional redirect URL, but you can leave it blank, because then by default they will be redirected to your Beehiiv homepage, so to your newsletter homepage, where they can instantly start reading. So I recommend that. Then here, this is great. You could, so if you, I suppose if you turn the double opt-in option on, you also want to turn on the smart nudge, so they get a automatic 48-hour reminder after they've signed up to confirm their email address, so they get added to your subscriber list. And these double opt-ins also help sorting out bot accounts and subscribers that just subscribe because of maybe a lead magnet or something they expect, but then end up never actually reading any of your issues. So it is a great option. I recommend it for higher quality. So you can basically choose, do you want more subscribers? Then turn it off. But if you don't care about the numbers, what you definitely should, you can turn it on, because then only the highest quality subscribers will come through into your newsletter. Okay, and here you can link social accounts and ad tracking, but this is a little bit advanced, and I think You don't need this as a complete beginner, but there you can track from which URL subscribers came, and maybe they came from social media or from a specific other newsletter or a website or Google or whatever. This is the tracking where you set this up. Okay. Then right here, this is also some advanced stuff. So you can add custom domains so the subscribers don't see your domain which is ending in .beehiiv.com. So you can either use your personal branded domain, but this is also not available on the free plan. Then here, of course, you have premium features, which is not available on the free plan. This is not important. Here you can import subscribers. If you already have a newsletter or email addresses that you want to add, you could start a new import. 10 times you can do that. So this is pretty nice. You can import content from other newsletters. So if you have already written issues in another software, you can import them so people can see your content all in one place. Of course, you can also export data, for example, subscribers or your posts. You have subscribe forms. So this is pretty interesting. Here you can make a custom subscribe form where you can put this with, for example, some code on any custom website. So let's add test in both of these and generate it. I hope I haven't missed any other required field. And now you see you have a field. So this is a link that actually works in your browser. You can either use that or embed it on any other website if you copy this entire iframe HTML tag. Or you could also just use the button itself. So either this one or embedding it entirely if you build a website from scratch in another software, for example. Or you could also use this just as your sign-up page, which I'm using at the moment. But probably not very much longer because I think about redesigning it. And Beehiiv also comes with a custom like subscription page or landing page where you're prompted to like sign up, which you can also completely customize. And widgets, I think, is also not very important at the moment. In Design Lab, you can customize everything, like literally everything from the background color to the font to the like special things like, do you want this text to be shown when you paste links, or what button color do you want to have, or basically every color, every like background color, everything you can customize right here, which is pretty interesting. You can spend a lot of time in the Design Lab. Okay, then website. Here you can customize your website completely and choose a post layout. I definitely recommend leaving this just simply on default because I think the newsletter one looks awful. Here you can choose if you want to have a light or dark mode or theme on your landing page and content page. This is of course up to personal preference, but if you know me, then dark mode is definitely the way to go. Typography, you can customize everything with a Google font. So Google Fonts is a free place online where you can get fonts, and then you just have to remember the name of your font, type it in here, click done, and then you have set font on your newsletter page for all of your like visitors that visit your homepage. So this differs from the Design Lab. In the Design Lab, you only design the layout of an article of your newsletter. For example, how it looks when people open it in their email client and how it looks on your website. But this right here is how your website's headings and body and buttons look like. For example, we just had the subscribe button. So which font should the subscribe text be? Which font should the email address field be in which font, and also color. This is the stuff you can customize up here. So yeah, it's pretty nice. Here you can adjust the roundness. I think, yeah, can leave it on default definitely. Here's another option for tracking analytics. So where are people coming from, for example, but it's definitely not for beginners. The subscribe flow is also pretty interesting, but I would say not for beginners. So you can redirect new signups, for example, to another landing page or maybe to a product that they should purchase, something like that. Maybe like, a newsletter special. Because you've signed up to the newsletter, you get 50% off this product because you sign up for the next 12 hours. There you could install such redirects, for example. Here you can customize your landing page to optimize it for search engine optimization so people find it more easily when they are browsing. But it's optional because most people will find probably your newsletter through your socials when you link it there. It takes a bunch of time to build up credibility that you rank in search engines, but it's definitely worth taking some time to write meta titles and descriptions. And right here you can turn on if subscribers should be able to write comments under your newsletter posts. It's great. You can definitely turn this on. Here you have your payments integration. So if you want to code something or connect it with other software, these are your API. Oh my gosh, I think you are not allowed to show API keys, but it doesn't matter anyway because this is a burner account. I will delete this account after this video, but never show API keys to anyone. It's like showing your bank account number and your passwords and that kind of stuff. So you should not show APIs. But I think in the realms of this tutorial, it does not matter. But APIs are something like a phone number or like an address on the internet where people or different softwares can communicate with APIs. So it is pretty handy. Webhooks are something similar, advanced, and here you can connect with MailChimp to import all of your MailChimp subscribers. So this is the same type of software for email and newsletter marketing and that kind of stuff as Beehiiv. And if you should have used MailChimp before, you can use or add all of the subscribers you have. And these are your billing settings, so if you're on any plan, but we are not. So the dashboard we already have. Notifications, well, if you get notified by anything, this is the tab where you will see that. Then write. This is the page where you can write new contents. This is the same button as if you would click on top of here. So let's have a look. So here you can see all of your posts, and yeah, let's have a look at it. So first you have the start writing button, but you also have these two options. So like blank draft, which is the same as if you would press the start writing button, or you could use a template. So if you use a blank draft, well, what happens? We get a blank draft, and it also syncs and saves automatically, which is really nice. So here's our example new post, but we could also use a template. So we can build a template, name this one tutorial template, and maybe you want to start your newsletter every time with maybe a heading. I will go into these fields in a second with something like that. And because you don't want to repeat yourself, you can then use your template if you want to write something. So we're going to write posts, and now let's say we want to write another new newsletter. Then we don't have to start from a blank draft, but we can start from our newsletter template. We're going to use this template, and then for our new newsletter, we have this pre-generated. So it's basically just us saving time and being more consistent. And right here, you can see our posts. So let's go through a post, how this entire process looks. Here, all the settings come together. So for example, let's say this is an example newsletter issue. So this is our example. Let's say we want to send this to our subscribers who are waiting for this first issue. And now we have finished writing it. So you can also collapse the sidebar if you really want to focus on writing. This is the simple text property, which you can customize right here. For example, with like common settings. You could also link to other stuff. You could maybe like, superscript or subscript. If you want to use these kinds of things, you can transform that into headlines or maybe like put it in the middle. So it's basically simple formatting as you find in many softwares. And what is pretty interesting about Beehiiv is that it has these options, as they are called, which you can activate by typing in a slash. If we type a slash, then you can see there are a lot of options. Ignore these premium options. They will disappear once you are on the free plan. They are pretty handy, but the basic options definitely are great as well. So a bulleted list, for example, just adds bullet points. So you have point 1 and then point 2. So it's formatting stuff. Then what do we have else? So numbered list, this just adds numbers. A button, always very handy. You can add text and then a link behind the button. So if people click it, they get redirected to wherever your link is pointing to. Images, you can add code, a table, a block quote. This is a great quote. This comes in 3 design variants. So these 3 are by default. You can change the color of these however you would like to. And there you can say, for example, quote, and then you can also add an author, which will be then displayed further down the line. What else do we have? Headings, of course, simple headings. There's a great rule in search engine optimization: only use heading 1 and else heading 2s and 3s to structure all of your content. The golden rule is only one H1 heading per post. So keep this in mind. Then right here, you can embed stuff from socials and add a footprint or footnote. All right, so now we can say that we have successfully finished our first newsletter. So let's say this is the end and it's done. So we have finished it and now we want to post it. So now we can recollapse or put the sidebar out again and adjust all of these settings. And anytime we adjust anything, it gets automatically synced, and you can see always up here. If it's synced, you see how many words we have written, and you can search through your article and reverse stuff and all of these fancy things. And down here, you have this great preview button, so you can preview your newsletter every moment. Every time it is synced and saved, you can preview it. For example, as an email version on a desktop. So how people would see your newsletter if they open it in email on their desktop or if they open it on the web version on your website. And the same then for mobile. So people can see it or you can preview how your newsletter looks if people open it on email on their mobile phone, smartphone, and how it looks when they open it on their browser on their phone. And you can also select a subscriber, for example yourself, to send it to, so you can have a look at it in real time on your own. And here you can adjust settings. For example, issue 1 and a subtitle. So this gets shown. This is like the main heading and main subtitle. And yeah, here you can select the authors. Ideally, this is the person who's writing it. In this case, it's always me because I'm the only person connected with this account. You could also invite guest authors. This is pretty interesting. Here you could add a byline, show it, or hide it from the feed so it doesn't get shown to all of the other articles. Maybe if you want to do something subscriber specific or a giveaway or something not everyone is supposed to see. But else this does not make very much sense. Then here a display date, so when this newsletter maybe was set live or online, then you can create an A/B test in like the paid plans only, sadly. So you can track with which subject line more people open your newsletter. So this is the one that we just used in post, so issue 1 and hello. And let's say we want to create an A/B test. Then we can choose if more people maybe click if we use this type of heading. And then we can track how many people open our newsletters. Yeah, pretty nice feature, but sadly not available on the free plan. Now these are your website settings. So here you can customize the URL, which is going to be shared. It's custom generated, but you can also give one on your own. So for example, issue 1, this is greater for sharing and people can then like expect. It's nice if the headline that you choose, if you put the same headline as a slug down here. Advanced email capture is great. This is an option, for example, gated is that at a certain point in your newsletter, there is a gate and a lock, so people can only continue reading said issue if they sign up, or a pop-up where people can always continue reading by closing the pop-up, but when they are on 50% of the entire newsletter page, they get a pop-up prompting them with custom instructions. You can also set, maybe for example, hey, nice that you've read so far, mind subscribing to the newsletter. So these are great options. These are advanced email captures. I recommend trying and seeing if one of these gives you more subscribers than the other, or maybe none. So test all of them 3 definitely. There is not the right answer. It's up to you and up to your audience which will resonate best. Definitely, I think the comment section is a great feature, so you can turn it on. Here you can put the custom thumbnail, and you can optionally display it at the top of the web version. So I always did it for my issues. And yeah, here you can upload or select your assets. So it is a simple library where you can see all of your uploads and also like other stuff from Unsplash and Giphy. So GIFs or GIFs and PNGs, JPEGs that are royalty free. Okay, now SEO wise, here you could customize title and description, but I think the ones that you give here should be sufficient enough that they also apply for the post, for the email subject line and preview text, as well as for the SEO settings. So I think that should be fine. And then right here, it comes to delivery. So it comes to sending it out to all of your subscribers. In this case, I want to send it out to all free subscribers, and now I can schedule it. So now you have 2 options. You can either schedule it, so release it at a certain time, or publish now. I advise you, and Beehiiv also advises you to use the schedule feature. So for example, you communicate to your subscribers every Monday on, like, I don't know, 1 p.m. my newsletter will come out. So let's set it up. Monday, and then 1:00 p.m. Then we can review. Is everything fine? So we want to publish it Monday on 1 p.m. to the web, to all free subscribers. Click publish, and now it should get published. But since we don't have any subscribers yet, Beehiiv doesn't allow us to write our publication. So subscribe to your newsletter on your own with your own email address, and then you can get started. All right, so this explains this entire write page. Content tags can be skipped basically. And then you have growth features. So many of them are not available on the free plan, so I don't want to cover them. But shortly summarized, you can recommend other newsletters and other newsletters can recommend you. And this helps you just grow faster. And you can also pay other newsletters to recommend you to like supercharge your growth, for example. Here you can monetize your newsletter. This is also really nice, but this also should appear in your strategy, in your newsletter strategy more down the line, because monetization always takes away goodwill from your audience, and you want to build as much goodwill as possible. So you want to give them value for a pretty long time and only ask like pretty irregularly. So don't bother about monetizing anything right here. It's just about getting started at first. Then second, continue publishing. And third, growing before you ever should think even about monetizing. Under audience, you can see all of your subscribers. If you imported one set of subscribers, or if some already signed up through any of your landing pages or subscribe forms, you could segment your audience. For example, I want to show all of the newsletter subscribers that have read every single newsletter and maybe like give them a 10% discount for some of my products, for example. Or I want to segment all of the newsletter subscribers that have never, since they are subscribed, read a newsletter. Then you can delete all of them, which is a pretty nice way of getting rid of your subscribers that are not adding any value, but only blow up your limits so that you should be forced to pay sooner. So this is nice to do every once in a while. Here you can have some analytics, which probably doesn't matter. The dashboard tool for a growth is well enough as a beginner. And here you have resources, Beehiiv's own blog, tutorials, that kind of stuff.